earlier when we talked with you guys live during the 9, Ellen, you showed up. You had a labubu and a lafufu, and it's your birthday. Now, were those gifts from your coworkers or like outside friends?
So my lafufu, I actually bought this one at first at a county fair because I thought it was real. Okay. And so I was like, oh my God, I finally got a labubu. And then I counted the teeth. I saw that it was like falling apart. I'm like, that's not real. So then Benny and Greg, for my birthday today, they did gift me an actual
real one. Look at that.
So it's the real deal.
And we counted the teeth. You know, they have to have 9 teeth.
And you didn't get it from the fair.
It has 9 teeth.
No shade against the fair. The reason I ask you guys is because how do you all feel, and I guess, Ellen, we'll start with you, about gifting your coworkers? Because, you know, like if I gift to Sal, then I bet he'll feel pressured to gift to me. And then what about Andre? And then what about our producer, Megan? Like, it's kind of a forever thing. How do you guys handle that? Do you gift to your coworkers at the radio station?
That's a great question. I think that you should just gift to whoever you do feel like gifting to. Like, you're right. It does kind of put a pressure on you, especially if they get you something really expensive and nice.
Or thoughtful.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, oh my God.
Well, also, Garcia, we only gift to the people in this room. We don't take it out of the room.
Okay.
So, because you know how it is being on set with those guys every morning. It's the same with us. We're together all the time, so we're really close. So we gift. We don't feel pressure to do it. It's just that we're closer. I also think at work, you always gift down and not up. So, like, if someone's equal to me or maybe they're in a support role, I think you should gift to them. But your boss needs to be gifting you. I don't gift my boss anything for his birthday. He should gift me.
Preach!
I know. That's true. I think that's the best way to break it down.
You know, I agree with you on that. Now, there are a couple of stories. We kind of covered the Taylor Swift thing. We'll get back to that if we have time. But I'm really interested in something you guys brought up, is the treat yourself economy, where people buy themselves little things to make themselves feel better. No joke. When I was a kid, I was watching the TV news with my dad, and they ran a story saying the same thing. So decades ago, this was a thing. Make yourself feel good. Buy yourself that cup of coffee, or, you know, small things. What is that? It's not a new trend, but have you seen it more? Guys, let's start with you, Benny.
I'm actually not a fan of this because, well, if we're talking about a cup of coffee, sure, but like physical items, listen, my mom always told me growing up, you spend the first half of your life collecting things. She used a different word. Then the second half of your life, you spend getting rid of things. So I actually don't purchase a lot of small things like trinkets and whatnot that I'm bringing into the house. Less is more for me. Like, I'd rather do the bigger ticket items, save up for that, versus, you know, ordering from little things on Amazon every other day.
It sounds like you've been talking to Garcia.
No, I totally agree. I am for sure in the second half of my life. I'm in the getting rid of phase, but not everything you buy is going to like come home with you. Maybe like a nice coffee or a fresh scone at the bakery. Like, what about consumables? Yeah, stuff that you don't have to store on a shelf.
Absolutely. Fan of that.
I'm like that, Garcia. So during the week, I'm very practical. I make my own coffee. I bring my own lunch. I don't splurge. But on the weekend, that's when I get to go to the coffee shop. If I go to yoga, then I deserve to go and get the scone or whatever I want. I treat myself in that way because every day I try to be good. On the weekends, I try to treat myself a little bit.
You know, Greg, you said something
to all this.
Oh, yes.
You said something key, and Ellen, maybe you can dovetail into it. I'm going to ask, if you're doing it all the time, it's no longer a treat. And that's what the experts say, as long as it's a once-in-a-while thing. Right, Ellen?
Okay, you're right. That definitely makes a big difference. Like, if you're doing it all the time and you're being reckless and now you're going into debt, you know, then okay, that's different. Now you're just not being financially responsible either. But I am all about treating yourself. I think you should. I do believe that if there's something that gives you joy when you see it, why would you not bring it back home with you? Or why would you not buy that experience or buy that treat? Because you should be doing those little things in your life that make you fall in love with your life and bring you joy and be in the moment. Because the reality is, to me, I know that every day is not guaranteed. So I do my best to live in the moment, and treating myself in the moment is a part of that.
Okay, so what, other than the lafufu from the fair, what have you treated yourself on lately, Ellen?
Oh, girl, I'm about to go to Ulta after this. So I'm definitely going to be treating myself to like some self-care, to, you know, like little different things to make me happy. So I still have this whole weekend to treat myself. So I definitely will. But like I said, you have to also be responsible, though. If you can't afford it, don't do it.
And sometimes it's a small, I'll tell you a way that Benny treats himself. And I don't do this as often, but Benny takes himself to lunch all the time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Solo dates. I take myself on solo dates. So yeah, that sort of thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
And spending money on experiences, I'm a fan of that. Yeah, that stuff. But Labubu's, I'm not collecting Labubu's at the house.
No, all right. So,
Make you happy, do it.
I mean, I'm
Buddy
with you
collects
on that
Legos.
stuff. I have enough Labubus or Lafufus in my house because of my wife and kids. However, I want to bring it back to one thing I said I was going to push back on with Ellen, and that is that ring. It's expensive, but I think it's ugly. Okay, you love it because it's vintage style. When we're talking about Taylor Swift's ring that Travis Kelce got her, I mean, it's a $1 million rock, right? So it is expensive. I don't really like it.
I don't
Why?
either. I don't either. I think she's trying to be nice. It's not a pretty ring.
No, I'm curious to know, like, why both of you guys don't like it. Like, what is it about it that you don't like? Is it the shape? Is it the size? Is it
It's a
how
shape
simple
for
it is?
me.
It looks
It's
like
a
a-
shape for me.
it
and
looks like a loaf
way
of
too
bread.
old-fashioned. Yeah, I agree. Looks like a baguette.
Well, I do know it's yellow gold, which is the most popular color right now for engagement rings. So she's got that going.
And I thought it would be more expensive, actually, coming from people that are, I mean, she's a billionaire, and I think I looked up, he's worth, I don't know, $100 million. And
There it is.
I saw somebody say it's about $670,000.
What? No.
It's up there for sure.
False. Okay, so I'm on People, the ultimate authority for this type of thing. People.com. Apparently, like jewelry experts say that it could be worth up to $5 million. So $5 million, that kind of
Wow,
squares.
what?
Yeah, that's a lot closer to what I expect.
Well, you know, it's funny because I asked AI to say, okay, and it says experts estimate the ring's value to be between $250,000 and $500,000. So someone's right. I don't know, right? You might.
I'm trusting People on
Right.
this.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
People has a whole write-up on this.
It's out there. It's out there everywhere. I got my number from, there was a jeweler, very old, respected jeweler in Rome. And I always think, you know, if they're in Italy or Paris, somewhere in Europe, they know more than we do. Okay. And they said the 600,000.
Okay.
We don't know. Someone needs to come out and tell us
Okay,
how much
let me ask. Because, am I correct in saying, Benny, you have proposed, you have a wife, right? You are married.
I am.
Okay.
Last I checked.
Did
Yes.
did you run the ring idea designed by your wife before you bought it and proposed? Did she drop hints? Was she sending links? What was that whole process like?
She did not do any of the above, which for me was a green flag. I was like, oh, wow, she's not pressuring me. She hasn't asked. So I did it all on my own. Now, we were boyfriend and girlfriend for 9 years before I proposed, so that was a long time. We were also young when we got together. But no, I mean, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to marry this woman at some point, and it took my time. I think I took maybe a year to pick out the ring, and is one of those, I chose the diamond and the setting and blah, 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 put it all together. And anyway, I just took a shot, and she loved it. Of course, we had to get it resized because, that part I didn't know. But she loved it, and it was, and I still love it. And she
Val,
loves
did
it.
you
Yeah.
do all this for your wife? Were there hints dropped? Were there...
I know what she likes.
Okay.
Right? I kind of was paying attention
Okay.
when I wanted to do it. I would go, and we would look at rings, and, said, someday this might happen.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I didn't start from complete scratch.
Okay.
I don't like this style. It doesn't mean it's not a meaningful ring for her. It's just I don't like it, but who cares if I don't like it? If she's happy, I don't really care what anyone else's ring. But, I wouldn't choose that ring for my wife.
Okay. I like it because it doesn't look
That
like
sounds
every other
like
ring
what-
out there. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it's funny because that's exactly when my mom doesn't like something, like my tattoos. She'll say, well, if you like it, I like
Love
it.
it.
Right,
Which
Craig?
means I hate it. So
She's
now
right.
you just said that. If she likes it.
Well, hey, listen, guys, it's always fun to talk to you guys. By the way, I went to the Giants game last night. We'll talk about the Giants maybe next week because there's a lot of meat on that bone when it comes to sports. Greg, I know you're a sports guy, but right now we're going to leave it here. I really like talking.
Wait, I want to say one I want to say one more thing,
Tell me.
Sal. I got to do a promo for KTVU, Fox 2, Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. My Texas Longhorns will play the Ohio State Buckeyes, the most highly anticipated game opener in years. Number 1 versus number 3. Hook 'em horns, the Longhorns.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I do look forward to those college football Saturdays. Benny, Ellen, and Greg, thank you for joining us. Gassia and I will be right back, and we'll see you guys soon. Welcome back to Take Two. I'm Sal Castaneda along with Gassia Michaeli, and we have to go back to our top story that we've been covering yesterday after it happened and today, and that is that really tragic school shooting that happened in Minnesota yesterday when 2 children died, and we also did have several children were injured. This morning, Gassia, we got an update from the hospital as to the condition of the kids.
That's right. Some of the children are in extremely critical condition. It has been a very, very difficult 24 hours. If we can take you back to yesterday, mornings on 2 in the 7 o'clock hour, we first reported what little we knew about the reports of an active shooter situation at an elementary school. It was, I believe, a TK through 8th grade school, Catholic school there in Minneapolis. So we first got that news on right at around 7:20, and then from then on and for the next 3 hours, we were live on the air here with it, and we were focusing on, of course, the immediate law enforcement response. There was a news conference that we had for you in the 8 o'clock hour in which we heard police describe the fact that doors to the church had been barricaded from the outside, essentially to keep people from escaping. The attacker shot from outside inside the church, and the first thing we heard was from the Mayor Fry of Minneapolis, and he said, I don't want to hear thoughts and prayers. So often you hear people, politicians say, people send it out on social media. He said these children were in the act of praying when they were gunned down, and you could see the frustration, you could see the fury, you could see the grief on his face, and he issued a call that now 24 hours later really stands, which is we need to wrap our arms around the school community that's been attacked and really around all children because, as we can tell you as parents, we definitely felt it upon hearing the news and following the news. Then in the afternoon, our kids come home from school and you have to, sort of tell them all over again.
You know, I don't know why this hit me especially hard, because sometimes when it's something that's very similar to what happens in your life, even though it shouldn't be this way, you should feel for everyone who dies, everyone who's shot. But I went to a school just like this. My kids go to a school just like this. We go to church as an assembly. This happens, right? And yesterday after it happened, there was a lot of talk on our campus after school about it. And it just hit closer to home. It doesn't mean that if it happened at a public school, I wouldn't feel for it. But just as a parent, you feel these things and you wonder, okay, well, what is it that you can do? Can you do anything, Garcia? Can you do anything at all to make sure that this is less likely to happen? You know the feeling as a parent. I have, you know, I stay up at night thinking about these things sometimes.
So mental health experts say the best way to handle a reaction to this is think what concrete steps you can take. And I know our school, and we're in high school now, but from elementary, I mean really from preschool all the way up through high school, the teachers, you know, you have to fill out the beginning of the year. You know, my emergency contact is this. If something bad happens and I can't be there, please let my neighbor Sarah bring my children home, that sort of thing. That's step number one. Step number two is if your school has a safety drill, and most all schools do, and they invite parents, go to that drill. I know you're going to spend half your Saturday there, but we've attended those drills for their preschool, for their elementary school, and their middle school. I think my sons are doing an emergency drill tomorrow at school, pre-scheduled. So take those concrete steps, because knowing that you've done something will help you feel better in the event of emergency. But of course, the final answer is you can't prevent this, because if it was preventable, then it would have been prevented. It happened again yesterday. Law enforcement does its thing, parents do theirs, school officials do theirs, but you know, mental health experts will say taking concrete steps, acknowledging your grief and pain, talking with your students. It's interesting, I talked with parents yesterday and some said, you know, I told my sons, and they were like, and then other parents said, oh, my child was distraught. So, you know, that range of reaction, all of it is normal, and you know as a parent best how to respond to your children, so keep that in mind as well.
Well, you know, after things like this have happened far too often, you've often spoken with the people that you bring in to talk about how to process this. Do you remember any of the things they told you?
Oh, I remember it all. Number one, they say, and this is sort of weird to share here on the air, but they say turn off the TV. If it feels like you're getting too much of this very difficult information, you just stop the stream. And it's interesting because yesterday, as we got off the set following, you know, basically 3 hours of live coverage about this, I jumped right into Mike Meback and I do a little podcast for a show called Off the Mic, and he'd been watching the news from home. I'd been covering it on the air, and so we essentially took almost an hour just to sort of debrief. We went through the facts, new information, but then he and I both spoke as parents and as journalists and what it feels like to be essentially, you know, eating this news as it's coming in as a professional, but then also thinking like, oh, my sons are about to go to school. Mike made an interesting point. I think this might resonate with you. His daughter also goes to a Catholic school, the same one he went to growing up, and he said, you know, I'm watching this live coverage of these students, and they're all, you know, evacuating the school and being picked up by their parents. And I think the children, in this case in Minneapolis, wear forest green polo shirts. Everybody. He's like, my kids, you know, we wore navy blue polo shirts, and the images are so similar and so familiar to him. And also to you, he said, I think that's why this one in particular hits so very, very close to home.
Right. I was watching the girls with the plaid skirts and the boys with their, polos and the pants that they wear, and I'm thinking, wow, this is me. A long time ago, this is my kids. And one of the things that came out is the young man who perpetrated this horrible act was a student there.
In previous years. Now in the early 20s,
right.
I
So
think.
he was 23, so it was a while since he was an elementary school student, but it also came out that he had been having disturbing thoughts. And yesterday, the First Lady came out and said, we need to really vet and get to people and they're having mental trauma. And, you know, that mental health aspect is also, everyone talks about gun control, and I think that's a good conversation, but also mental health in the United States needs to be checked. This person was obviously in distress, not excusing at all what he did, but, you know, he may have needed help.
Well, mental health experts, there's been a somewhat new pushback to this idea that mass shootings are the result of poor mental health, because there are millions of people living successfully with mental health in the United States. Having mental health does not make you a mass shooter.
Does that stigmatize people who are having...
Right, and so mental health experts in recent years are sort of trying to pull apart this idea of, yes, this person was clearly something there was wrong. This person posted a lengthy manifesto, essentially saying, this is what I'm going to do, and then went and did it. So the person knew what they were doing, but mental health experts say, look, people are living everywhere around you with anxiety, with depression, with mental health struggles. They're not shooting people,
Right.
so don't cement them together.
Don't want to stigmatize
Right.
people, especially people who are having mental challenges. All right, well, this story is going to be covered throughout the day here on all of our platforms. Take Two will continue in just a bit. Welcome back to Take Two, our last segment here. We're going to talk about dating rules your parents no longer live by, no longer apply to you, right? So it used to be taboo to talk about your spending habits or even how much money you made, Garcia, and that was kind of something that was very private. It wouldn't come up. Then you would find people getting married and they had very different views of money. And you said something that's very interesting. Money is the #1 factor when it comes to divorce.
It is. So, and it's actual money, and then it's how we feel about money, right? Because if we're struggling and we don't have money, as you know, that stresses everything. It makes everything more difficult. So it's a difficult thing when you meet up with someone, and if you don't talk about, hey, what's your idea of vacation? Mine is camping and a car trip. Yours is taking a lavish European vacation twice a year.
Right.
That's where kind of the clash can begin. You know, it's hard. I will say, I think when you're very young and both of you aren't making a lot of money, that's when it's easy to talk about money. So it's like, oh, we're both not making much money. But if you, let's say I were to meet someone, you know, at the age of 40, when I have a little bit of, you know, career experience and a little bit of savings in the bank, you know, when you have something to your name, then it becomes a little more high stakes because it's not just, you know, two young kids out of college, let's get together and be together forever anymore. Do you know what I mean?
I do, because when you're both broke, you made a very good point. You don't have any money to spend, so you're not spending money.
Right.
Once you get money, one partner may say, okay, now we're getting money, it's time to stack that savings account. And the other was, no, let's live a little.
Right.
And there's always a balance, of course,
Right,
right?
right.
But I think, you know, and marriage is hard. You know, marriages, they have problems. But at least one of the problems I don't have with my wife is we do see eye to eye on money.
Good.
There's some other things we have disagreements about, but money is so huge,
right?
So we're not super spendy. It doesn't mean that my way is right. It just means that our way is agreed upon.
Right. Well, whatever you're doing, you're both doing the same thing.
Right.
You mentioned marriage. You know, we're both fortunate to have found marriage in our lives, but there's a new study that was out. It was in the New York Times, and it was based on a couple studies from the Journal of Marriage and Family. What a fun read that would be.
Oh, boy.
Came out last month, and they looked at studies that definitively said people are waiting to engage in marriage until they have their financial house in order, until they have, you know, they've gotten a foothold on their career, they've got a little bit in savings, and so people are delaying marriage. But also found that people who have higher incomes, they tend to feel more prepared and then more likely to end up in a relationship. The feeling is, I want to have something to offer to this other person. Just be like, hello, here I am, dead weight. You know, you want to be able to say, you know, it's like the old, and I don't know if you said this to your wife's parents, but like, you know, I will take care of this person that I love.
Right.
It's a very old-fashioned notion, but you don't want to just show up, essentially, here I am, love me. You know, it's like, here I am. Here's how we can make a life together.
Right. Well, obviously, this comes up a lot because we seem to have a lot of stories about dating and money, and another story will come along soon.
Sure.
That is Take Two for today. Gassia and I will continue to work on all the platforms. Gassia's on the noon show today, and we're going to continue to cover all the top stories. And you can always get your news